Hi, I'm Stan, and I want to let you in on a little solar industry secret that has helped me cut my overpriced power bills and literally change my life. Now, I'm an engineer by trade, and I've been, building and testing all sorts of devices. I love this kind of stuff. For the last 4 years, I've put a lot of time and a lot of effort into these tests, not to mention some real cash. Some worked, some didn't, but nothing came close to this solar energy breakthrough I have right here in front of me. And it didn't just work for me. Over 20,000 homeowners across the U.S. alone are enjoying the benefits that come with this cool little box. Now, I know solar arrays are very expensive, so going solar was never on my try it out list, but all that changed when I came across a cool set of video guides on how to build this. It's called the Smart Solar Box, virtually an endless self-sustained power source that will work even if it's cloudy. And it makes a huge difference in the amount I now pay for electricity. You see, it's basically a solar power plant that fits inside a toolbox. So it's extremely versatile and portable. It can cut your power bill, power up a cabin, and as a backup generator or as a generator for camping, fishing, and even emergency situations. Basically, if you want to take it with you, just fold the two small panels, put them in the trunk along with the battery box, and off you go. No more gasoline, no more smoke, noise, and hassles from the old one. It's light, cheap, and easy to build. This one is mine. I haven't connected it to the grid, didn't want to go through all the paperwork, but I am using it to power up my garage. The door is electric. I have a lot of tools that I use daily. I have lights, an alarm system, and a small fridge, of course. And so far, I haven't seen the battery charge drop by more than half. Now that's amazing. And the best thing is, you can have your own smart solar box up and running by the end of the day. So you too will be able to shave more than half on those ever-lingering power bills. Whether you hook it to the grid, power up a shed or a garage like I do, this thing will literally save you cash just by lying around. So stick with me for the next 5 minutes, and my friend Ryan will tell you all of the nitty-gritty details behind this money-saving box, how it all started, and how it literally saved him and his family and friends what would have been a horrible ending. Let's see the story.
That's the moment our lives changed. And no, I wasn't the one knocking. I was on the other side of the door, shocked at the sight of a grown man crying with his child laying soft in his arms, hanging by a thread, almost frozen to death. But it wasn't just our lives that changed. 17,341 hardworking Americans are now living a better life, with a lot more money in their pockets. Now, I know you'll think you've heard this before, and your BS senses are going off, but what I'm talking about, it's not a well-guarded secret or a never-before-seen device made by some forgotten genius inventor. It's actually something simple that thousands of people use, but in an inefficient and expensive way. Used properly, it will help you slash in excess of 70% off your power bill overnight. That's over $2,000 a year. Not only that, but it's lightweight and portable, so you can take it whenever and wherever you want. Just put it in the trunk and you're good to go. And no, you don't need a second mortgage to afford it. Actually, you'll get it up and running with just dimes on the dollar. Hi, my name is Ryan Tanner, and today you're going to learn how a simple and ingenious device saved 6 lives during a monstrous Wisconsin flash blizzard and turned the tide against the corporate fat cats once and for all. I'm guessing you might have seen on the news the sheer power Mother Nature unravels during the cold Wisconsin winters, or you might have experienced it yourself. Any way you turn it, it's nothing you can take lightly, and almost always catches you off guard. I've seen with my own eyes how a bright sunny sky darkens in a matter of minutes. Temperatures drop by 30 and 4 feet of snow impairs 21st century technology, sending everyone in the dark ages in a matter of hours, because that's where we'd be without light and warmth. The whole money in the world won't help you. No gov will protect you. Chances are, when disaster strikes, 99% you'll face it alone. So only one thing can make the difference between starving and being fed, freezing and being warm, light and darkness, and that's being prepared. And with today's response in disaster situations, you might be looking out the window, freezing both inside or outside, or even worse, for up to a week. Remember how fast action was taken during the Katrina disaster or the 2011 blackout? I think they're still hauling aids and supplies there, not knowing 5 years have passed. So who's your best bet? The government or yourself? I lost the bet on the Gov once, and 6 people almost lost their lives. Only a simple contraption made the difference between life and death. And it's something each and every one of us should have. Because no matter where you live, north, south, east, or west, Mother Nature always has something that can turn your life upside down. Tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, floods, you name it. And Gov officials are only going to watch it in awe. Or, God forbid, count the bodies on live TV. Imagine the toughest, coldest winter, 4 feet of snow as your eyes can see. You get through it somehow. But when spring comes, you won't be happy and joyful like you see in the movies. 'Cause all that snow melts. And flash floods will be knocking at your door. You have to be prepared round the clock. So I think it's time everybody started caring for themselves. And I'm not talking about massive stockpiles. Sure, you could do that. But actually, all you need is a well-equipped and stocked kitchen, a good heater or AC unit, and green electricity. This is something that can save your life and your loved ones around you. 6 people are still here today to tell the tale. And 17,341 hardworking patriots are now making the Big E picking up the tab. Here's what some of my close friends had to say about it. At first, I was a bit skeptic when it came to solar. I thought it was too expensive, but my wife pushed me to give your system a try. I'm glad I did because it works like you said it would. Thank you. Steve B., Dallas, Texas. Clean-cut video guides. Haven't seen anything like this in a while. I got everything I needed from the first trip to the store. That's what I hate most. Second trips for supply and parts. Thankfully, this wasn't the case. I shorted the bill by 52% and I'm proud of it. Big thanks from Boston. So stick with me for a couple of minutes and I'll let you in on all the nitty-gritty details you need to know. As I said, my name is Ryan Tanner. I'm a 52-year-old mechanic from Milwaukee, happily married for 27 years and raised 2 beautiful daughters. The story I'm about to share started 2 years ago in a cold October afternoon. I was raking leaves in my backyard when I saw my wife slamming the back door and running towards me. I knew something was wrong. "Honey, your father. He's dead." I couldn't move for a moment, shocked. It must be a mistake. I talked to him on the phone a couple of hours ago. But it was no mistake. God, how I wish it was. He felt he couldn't breathe, so he called the ambulance, unlocked the door, and lied on the bed waiting. And that's how they found him 40 minutes later. The paramedics tried their best, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead at the scene. I was devastated. We all were. But we had to face the facts and try and move on. What's worse, foreclosure notices started pouring in from the bank. We couldn't cover his debt. So we agreed on selling his cabin in the mountains where he lived. I talked to the girls and planned a last farewell trip to the cabin before selling it. It was late November, but the sun was still a bit warm, so we didn't pack thick clothing. We were going only for the weekend, after all. We arrived in the evening, lit up the fireplace, made a few sandwiches, and started talking, remembering all the beautiful times we had there, sadly thinking it was all over. The hours passed, and we didn't notice it started snowing outside. When we did, my first thought was, we're stuck here. But then again, it was November. How hard can it snow? I checked the fridge in the kitchen. There was still some food left. We had enough firewood for the night. The power was still on, so we thought we'll wait it out. At 12:15, I heard desperate knocks at the door. A man was holding a boy in his arms. His cheeks were bluish. He wasn't moving. I rushed them inside near the fireplace, covered them with blankets, and made them a hot tea. After a couple of minutes, the little boy started waking up. The man told us his name is Andy, and they almost froze to death after their car got stuck in the snow. They lived actually not far from our cabin. But it was so dark and the blizzard was so violent they couldn't find their way home. After stumbling for 2 hours in the white storm, he saw the lights at our house and realized they were saved. He told us he hasn't seen any lights for miles, and that was odd because there were lots of cabins and houses nearby. 3 hours later, we got an unexpected visit from one of our neighbors. He brought his family over after seeing we had electricity, hoping we could charge his daughter's inhaler. They told me the power was out since 9 p.m., but we still had the lights on. And that's when I understood. We were the only ones that had power. But why? And how? I didn't do anything for it. So where was it coming from? Nothing was different around the house. The wiring was the same. We were connected to the same grid. I started inspecting the house, the rooms, the basement. Nothing. I went and searched the shed. Something must be powering up the house. I only found 6 dusted toolboxes and a ping pong table. It was cold, so I left it like that. In about an hour, the little boy was joyfully back on his feet and started playing with my daughters. We all got through the night okay, a bit scared of what was going on outside, but safe and warm in my father's cozy cabin. In the morning I was restless, trying to figure out what kept the lights on. So I inspected the cabin and the shed again. That's when I saw lights flickering inside one of the dusty toolboxes. I opened it and realized what saved our lives. My father's preparedness like a helping hand beyond the grave. A secret power bank. Each and every toolbox was a power source of its own. 3 were depleted. 3 were still kicking 80%. But what charged them? I took a closer look at the ping pong table. It was odd. I didn't know my father played the game. And to my amazement, it wasn't a table, but a folding array of solar panels, small and compact, like nothing I've seen before. I must have stayed 4 hours in the shed trying to figure out how 2 small panels could have charged the whole bank, and how 3 batteries of that size could have powered an entire cabin for 16 hours straight. I had enough time to study the contraption, because snow plows were nowhere in sight. Actually, in the afternoon, we had to go search for firewood and water supplies, to be prepared just in case we had to spend another night there. And we were right. No one showed up. We still had power through the second night, although we had to cut down on the big screen TV, not knowing if we were going to spend a third one up there. Help only came the next day, with the usual hassle, like the Gov was doing us a favor. After waiting for 48 hours, what if we wouldn't have had electricity, or food, or supplies? Or even worse, and we would have been all stranded like Andy almost was in his car, in the middle of nowhere. Who would have helped us then? No one. And that's the thing my father, in all his years, understood best. You have to be prepared first, able to help yourself and those around you, because sitting and waiting for miracles from FEMA could get you killed. I took his notes with me and studied the plans for his solar panel system. Somehow it produced way more AC than you'd expect for that size. But what I finally discovered was that the secret laid in storage and charging times. He tweaked it until it was giving out almost twice as more power at only half the charge time. And that there was the lifesaver. Everybody can get solar panels up in the house or in their yard, but how long does a single charge last? How much would a normal system cost? Not to mention maintenance, snow, and all the space they take. Or even worse, putting your health at risk by hanging them on the house and climbing up there to clean them. It's a nightmare when winter comes, high winds, or when a sudden hailstorm hits. That's where my father changed the rules of the game. It took me almost a year to put all the pieces to the puzzle. I built a system for my house in the city. I only have 1,500 square feet, and never would have dreamed of going solar. But with my father's help, I got it going on just 20 square feet. And whenever I need the extra space, I just fold them and put them in the garage. No worries, no maintenance, no headaches. It cost me a little over $200, $204.68 to be more precise, to build the first unit. And results came pounding hard the very next day. The meter was barely moving, and it reflected directly into the bill. 68% off in the first month. I did my best to cut even more, but on the scale I built it, just wasn't possible. As I said, this is not a BS conspiracy cloak device. There are limits. Anyway, I think I did pretty good, and the cost of $200, that's money well spent. I got it back in 3 months just by cutting off the bill, and I'm $1,369.30 in profit now. But if you really want to stick it to the electric monopolists, with just a small increase in scale, you can make that wretched meter run backwards and start making them pay you for the excess current you feed to the grid. Imagine receiving the bill. Your hands shake while you open the envelope. And yes, it's exactly what you've been expecting. The amount is negative.